Hello, I'm Megan Jones, editor at Call Centre Helper, and I'm joined today by Matt Radford from Vulnerable Paths for a quick update on the fundraising code of practice. So, Matt, let's start with what is the fundraising code of practice?
So the fundraising code of practice is effectively the code by which anyone who's working on fundraising within the UK should follow the rules around how they should operate, what they should do in certain instances, and it also helps link to some of the laws and regulations that they might need to follow as part of that. So the laws themselves will be separate, but the code and the code of practice is effectively the self-regulatory code, which fundraisers really need to follow to ensure best practice and protection for the whole sector.
So, it's primarily the fundraising and the charity sector that need to be aware of this.
Correct. Any organization that is undertaking fundraising has fundraisers, is accepting donations. If they fit the definitions with the fundraising regulator, they should be following the fundraising regulatory code of practice. And that is the new code that was released last year.
Okay, so, there's a fair amount to take into consideration. So, what do contact centre leaders need to be doing to stay compliant here?
So, in terms of contact center leaders,
Mhm.
if you're looking at contact centers and you're working with, for instance, corporate clients who might be taking part in some income generating or donation generating activities for for charity partners, they might need to be aware of the rules, codes, regulations around what actually they need to do when they're doing fundraising. So you might be a corporate partner working with a charity and go, actually, our call centers, our staff might need to be aware of the specific rules because they may or they probably do differ from what they might normally do within their corporate environment. And when we're looking at the corporate sector or sectors outside of the charity sector itself has a lot of relationships with other organizations and types of organizations who might not normally be aware of the specific rules that fundraisers have to follow. The code itself will generally tell you whether the code applies to you or not. I'm not going to go through all the specific rules on this call, but the rules are particularly clear. They tell you who it applies to and in what circumstances. But when we're looking at some of the sectors that are outside of the charity sector, it's a good idea to be aware of that if you're working with charities and you're raising money for them. Outside of that, obviously, there is the charity sector as well. So, any supporter care teams, supporter engagement teams, any charitable organization, generally speaking, that is doing fundraising, which is almost inevitably what they are going to be doing as a charity at some point, does need to be aware of the new code of practice. It's got a load of updates in it. It's actually a vastly refined, improved version of the previous code. So it's clearer, easier to read. The sections are a lot neater. But if your teams haven't looked at that and you are a charity, it's really important for them to look at that. So that will apply to your contact center staff within your charitable organizations. It could apply to fundraising agencies as well, where they might be doing telephone outreach as part of those services. All of this means that actually those organizations really need to be looking at this as well, and understanding what rules apply to them and what they need to be following.
So, a lot of it is to take a look at the new version and make sure that the right people in the team are doing the right things that apply to them.
Correct. In addition to that, what I would also say is this is really important for obviously contact center teams, but it's really also important for the teams that work with the contact centers to also be aware that actually they might be supporting the contact center teams, but they might also need to follow the same rules or similar rules that are in the fundraising code of practice. So all of those supporting teams that you might have for your contact center probably also need to or would be encouraged to look at the code of practice to understand actually are there rules within this that we need to follow to support our contact center teams? Because sometimes, especially when looking at regulations, if we're looking at the fundraising code of practice, Some staff members will say, well, actually, I'm not a fundraiser. But the reality is, as a business, you might be supporting a fundraiser and you might be supporting fundraising practice. And if you are, the fundraising code of practice might have certain rules or sets of guidance that you should be following to support that adherence to the code across the sector, even if you might not call yourself directly a fundraiser.